Hello, and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today, I'll be showing you how to cycle from Haggerston in the south of Hackney to Clapton in the north of Hackney. This ride takes a little over 15 minutes, and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. By public transport, the same journey takes about half an hour, so you can save a lot of time by cycling. It's also a very pleasant ride. If you find this video useful, or you just enjoy watching it, then don't forget to hit the bell icon and subscribe to the channel, as I try to post new videos just like it every week. I'd also like to say a big thank you to the channel supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute as well, there's a link in the description where you can sign up. Okay, let's get going. So we're starting outside Haggerston Overground Station, and the first thing you'll notice are these planters that we're passing through. They're made out of weathered steel, which gives them that rusted look, and they're part of the Haggerston Low Traffic Neighbourhood, which is a scheme implemented by Hackney Council. They act as a filter, which prevents through traffic from using these streets as a cut through, and as a result, they're extremely quiet and a very, very pleasant place to cycle on. Hackney has been excellent with rolling out LTNs over the last few years, and it's done a lot, and as a result we're able to get from this part of the borough where we're starting to the northeastern corner in Clapton almost entirely on filtered streets without any through traffic on them. When we crossed Queensbridge Road just then, we actually crossed into our second LTN. This is the London Fields low traffic neighbourhood. It's the second of 4 that we'll pass through on this ride. The others are Hackney Downs, which is a large LTN in the north of the borough, and also Wayland Avenue, which isn't really officially an LTN, but is a recently introduced traffic filter, which creates a small low traffic area. This route makes good use of back streets and doesn't really go on many main roads. It's really just showing off the Hackney LTNs and what you can do with them on a bike. I would say that it's probably one that you might want to consult the map on. There's a link in the description, and you can download a digital map and use it on whatever app or device you use. It's a GPX file. But you don't really have to stick to this route rigidly. That's one of the nice things about the low traffic neighbourhoods. You can really ride on whatever street you want and there'll be low traffic. It would be nice to be able to cycle directly onto London Fields there and pass through that gate. Maybe it could be replaced with bollards, but for now what we're going to do instead is take this entrance onto the cycle path. If you don't know, London Fields is a very pleasant park in North London that sits between the Regent's Canal and Hackney Central. We're only on these paths for a short time, but do remember that they're shared with pedestrians, and some of them are a little bit on the narrow side, so do be courteous and don't ride too quickly and give everybody a lot of space. We're quickly back on the carriageway though, and we're now onto a street called London Fields West Side. I really like the look of the flats on the left here, and I'm very jealous of their balconies which overlook the park and look absolutely lovely. I think what's really notable about this ride so far is that despite the fact we've not really been in a cycle lane at all, or a path apart from when we were on London Fields, we've not really come across any motor traffic. I think it's fair to say that Hackney has done a very good job of taming a lot of its streets, and I think the benefits are really obvious. As we cycle around, it's really rare in these LTNs for us to come across very much motor traffic at all, but it's really common for us to pass loads of people getting around by bike or just walking. We're definitely seeing more bikes than cars, which I think is a very good sign that things are working. A quick note about this street, you can see that the person in front of us is cycling in the contraflow lane there, which is what you're technically supposed to do, as the street is one way but two way for bikes. However, I would not recommend cycling in the contraflow lane as it runs next to the doors of all those cars, and if anybody were to open the door at any point, they would knock you off your bike. So that's a very dangerous design which really needs correcting, I think. You can see a more contemporary design of a contraflow, cycle contraflow, on this street here, where there isn't actually a painted lane. You're just allowed to cycle in both directions, and that's indicated by those blue signs on the left, so motorists know to expect cyclists coming in the opposite direction. That also has the added advantage of being a lot cheaper to implement than doing an entire lane, and also taking up less road space, and it's just as safe, or as we saw in the case of that previous lane, it can be even safer because it gives you more flexibility to stay out of harm's way. To be fair to the council, I think they know this and they do all new contraflows in the safer way. It's just that they haven't got around to fixing that old one yet. If you look up ahead, by the way, you'll see this traffic filter there. That's a giveaway that we're in our third low traffic neighbourhood of the ride. That's Wayland Avenue. It's not technically a full low traffic neighbourhood, and I don't think Hackney refers to it as such, but that traffic filter keeps these streets, the sort of 2 or 3 streets in this small area, quite quiet. And it also reduces some of the through traffic on Navarino Road, which we came through before by reducing options for rat running. We've now turned down Sigden Passage, which you're allowed to cycle down, and you can tell that because it has double yellow lines on it, which means you're allowed to drive down it. And we come out here and cross the very busy Amherst Road, which could really do with a zebra crossing over it, I think. We now end up on Andre Street, which is a really curious street. If you look on your left, you'll see that the entire street has double yellow lines down it, but the entire street also has cars just illegally parked down it as well. It really is quite something. The whole street is lined with parking, even though it's illegal. I don't know for sure why this is, but I think one clue might be in that some of the cars don't have number plates, and that means that they might be associated with the garages along here, and therefore maybe when the ticket comes through it doesn't go to anybody, but I'm not certain and I don't know really why it is. Notice that this end of the street splits into 2 and becomes one way in each direction. Really, this arm should be closed and turned into public space, I think, and the other arm just made 2-way. Usually you would have this treatment to make it easier for cars to speed down there, but I don't see anybody speeding down those railway arches. It would also make it easier for us to cycle from Hackney Downs Park here over to that road without having to go on Downs Park Road for a while, which can sometimes actually get a little bit busy and be difficult to cross. It would be nice to see a cycle zebra crossing across Downs Park Road there to make it easier to access the park and to provide a coherent cycle route. If you keep an eye out on your left here, you'll see a railway line. This is actually the Lee Valley lines, which carry the overground trains into Liverpool Street. One of the trains treats us to a nice view there, and I can also tell you that riding on that line is also really pleasant going past Hackney Downs because you get a great view of the park, which looks especially inviting on a sunny day when it has lots of people in. Don't forget to take the right hand fork when the path splits there, by the way, and note the blue shared space signs on the bollards which indicate that you're allowed to cycle in the park. The reason we took the right hand fork was because it lines up a lot better with the mouth of Rendlesham Road, which is the street that we'll be cycling on for this next bit up to Clapton. Rendlesham Road is part of the Hackney Downs low traffic neighbourhood, so we're of course in our 4th LTN of the day. As you can see from the video, it's a very similar story to the other LTNs. There is very little in the way of private motor traffic. By the way, if you're still watching this video and you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified of new videos. I try to post new videos pretty much every week and they usually come out on a Sunday evening, although there is a little bit of variation on that. And if you're a really big, consistent fan of the channel, you could always consider chucking me a few quid on the Patreon, for which I'm very grateful and thank you to everybody who does that. There's no rewards for it other than knowing that you are reimbursing me for my time and encouraging me to do more videos. And of course, in the description you can also find a link to the map of the route which you can download and use on whatever app or device you fancy. There's also 2 other links to maps on there. There's a map to the Safe Cycle London map. That's done by a guy who goes by @SafeCycleLDN on Twitter, and it's a really fantastic resource that I couldn't plan the routes without. I really recommend you check it out. And the other map is a map of all the London cycle routes overlaid on a map, so if you want to see a video for a particular area, you can see if I've already done one quite easily just by checking that map. And thank you very much to viewer John Levermore for getting that map up to date recently. Okay, so we've arrived. Clapton station is just across the road here. We're on Upper Clapton Road, kind of somewhat between Lower Clapton and Upper Clapton. Now, I think you'll probably agree that that route was a really fun ride. There are a couple of things that could be improved, you know, things where crossings could be added or maybe an extra traffic filter or 2, but mostly we made use of 4 excellent LTNs that have all basically gone in the last year, and they've made this ride really easy. So let's hope Hackney continues that LTN rollout. Stamford Hill, Hoxton, Dalston, Cazenove, Chatsworth Road, these are all places that could benefit from additional traffic filters and an LTN of their own. And I hear there's an announcement coming soon. I don't know what on, but I'm excited to see what happens next. Thanks very much for watching, guys. See you again next time. Let me know in the comments what you think and what you'd like to see next.